Louisiana has some crazy stuff going on, and today we're going to cover those stories. I got 2 stories, adds up to 4 savages in Louisiana that we're going to talk about in this video. The crimes that they committed are horrendous, and in my opinion, they should do a long time in prison. And I'm an ex-convict, so if I say they should do a long time in prison, they should do a long time in prison. But who knows what the judges will think. They'll probably let these fools go with a slap on the wrist. Man, let's get right into these stories. The first one has to do with an actual mayor. That's right, a mayor, a female mayor of DeRitter, Louisiana. You might be asking yourself, well, where the hell is DeRitter, Louisiana? That's probably the same question I would ask if I didn't know where DeRitter, Louisiana was. I've been to DeRitter, Louisiana a couple times in my life. There really isn't much reason to go to DeRitter, Louisiana, unless you have family up there or unless you're trying to get to Texas, because it's right on the border of Texas. Actually, all the people in prison that I met that was from DeRitter, Louisiana, caught charges in DeRitter, Louisiana, because they were moving dope from Texas to Louisiana. And DeRitter happens to be on the border. So they got to come through there with their cartel dope to bring it to Louisiana or whatever they bought from the cartel. But here's the story about the mayor who was 43 years old and who was in a pool getting busy with a 16, 17-year-old boy. In the pool, it was her own kid's party. This stuff is crazy, man. Let's check it out. Misty Roberts, 43 years old. And I'm reading an article from The Guardian, and it's titled, Louisiana Mayor Convicted of R-Wording 16-Year-Old Boy at Her Home while still in office. That's right. This fool, this woman, Misty Roberts, and of course, we're going to put a picture of her up right here so we can view the savage as we talk. She hard R-word of 16-year-old boy at her own house while she was the mayor, while she was in office. So it says Misty Roberts, 43, faces sentences up to 10 and 7 years in prison after July 2024 SA at pool party. Sexual assault, you know what it was. You can't say it here. SA. The former mayor of Louisiana City has been convicted of hard R-wording a 16-year-old boy during a party at her house while she was still in office. Misty Roberts, 43, faces sentences up to 10 and 7 years in prison after a jury in the municipality of DeRitter on Tuesday found her guilty of 2 felonies: carnal knowledge of a juvenile or statutory R-word, as well as indecent behavior with a minor. They tried to get her previously on the hard R-word charge, but the jury was undecided and they couldn't reach, it was deadlocked. So she got, she got let free because of a deadlocked jury. Is not a guilty verdict. It has to be unanimous now in Louisiana. And she was let off on that. This story is really crazy because out of all the testimony on people taking the stands, everybody corroborates with each other except Misty. Misty's the only one out of all the people on this side who are saying Misty did what Misty did, but she's the only one who's saying that her story doesn't line up with everybody else's. This fool got her own kids on the stand against her. She got her best friend on the stand against her. She got her ex-husband on the stand with her. She even got a Uber Eats delivery driver on the stand against her. But somehow the jury thought that maybe, just maybe, she was telling the truth. Yeah, right. Savage. All right. Jurors deliberated less than an hour at the conclusion of a 7-day trial, second one, during which they heard testimony about how she SA'd an underage boy while both had been drinking alcohol heavily during the July 2024 pool party at her home, well into her second term as DeRitter's top elected official. She had got reelected, so apparently the people thought she was doing a good job. On the final day of the trial, the victim testified that despite imbibing so much, he vomited. Roberts flirted with him by the pool and began kissing him. She was kissing this boy, 16-year-old boy, she's 43, after he puked. Now, if you're a 43-year-old woman and you know some, foolish 16-year-olds who don't know how to behave themselves and they drunk acting silly, could you imagine kissing them after they puked? This stuff is crazy, man. All right. The boy, who at the time was too young to be able to legally consent to sex with Roberts, testified that she eventually took him upstairs and R-worded him. The boy said that he was so drunk, she took advantage of him. She hard R-worded him. That's what the boy said, Roberts' 2 children and a nephew. See, I forgot to tell y'all, a nephew also testified against her. They say they saw her and the victim together. though they didn't witness the R word. The victim described hearing Roberts argue with her son and yell, "Go fight your friend. He's the one who did it." A driver for the delivery service DoorDash, I'm sorry, I said Uber Eats. Forgive me, Uber Eats. I meant DoorDash. Testified that he brought the emergency contraceptive Plan B to Roberts' home afterward. This was also part of the first trial where there was a deadlocked jury. She ordered a contraceptive off of DoorDash. DoorDash will go deliver you anything. They'll go pick up stuff from Walgreens. So she got an emergency contraceptive dropped off to her house. He admitted it's in the DoorDash files for that dude's delivery list. You know what I mean? That's what he dropped off to her. Testimony established that Roberts also instructed her children and nephew to lie about what they saw, even texting one of them, "Lie till you die." This woman is the mayor of a city, and she's telling other teenagers, "Lie till you die," because she knows she just committed a crime. Roberts' ex-husband, Duncan Clanton, testified that she confessed directly to him that she had committed the crime and had been caught by their children. This woman admitted to her ex-husband, "Our children caught me hard R-wording another boy who's 16 years old. By the way, I'm mayor of a city in Louisiana." Man, you can't make this stuff up, y'all. A criminal complaint that was later filed as part of the case and reported by the Daily Mail purportedly cited text messages from Roberts to Clanton that read, "I effed up and I respect you enough to tell you." That's what she told him. KPLC reported that another text from Roberts to Clanton mentioned during the trial said, "I can't keep hurting others, friends and family. Lord knows I've done enough." Yeah, Misty, you did do enough. That's why we're keeping your picture right here. You need to be in jail, jail, jail. The gavel needs to be slammed hard on you because you were in office. You held a respectable position. This woman was trusted by her constituents in DeRitter, Louisiana, to do good for the city, not to bring this type of shame to the city, herself, her family. Man, her sentencing is tentatively scheduled for April 17th. I hope the judges in DeRitter, Louisiana, paying attention. We're watching. Deal justly with this woman. Maximum sentence. She held a high position. Because you're in a high position, you deserve more sentence. You got more responsibility. People trust you more. You should get a harsher sentence. You were trusted as the mayor, and you responded with violating innocent kids. I mean, man, this stuff is crazy, man, y'all. I don't know what to say, man. All right. Roberts resigned as DeRitter's mayor. No duh. Her resignation later omitted any mention of that investigation. Oh, she can't mention what she did. She says she knows she's hurting people. But when she resigned as mayor, she didn't want to own up and fess up to her crimes because she probably still, just like most criminals, you know what I mean? They want to have that slither of hope that if I don't confess to it, one day I'll get out and everybody will think I'm innocent, instead of owning up, looking in the mirror and putting it behind you and saying, "I did this." And they always say, "I want to change." You don't want to change if you ain't admitting, you know what I mean, that you committed this crime that they found you guilty of, man. She later made $75,000 bail to await her trial once she was out of custody. In October, in an unrelated case, this is the part that's interesting. Her 40-year-old brother, Brandon Lee Roberts, pleaded guilty to R-wording two people. Her brother and her are involved in R-wording people, all right? An underage girl and a young woman. That's what her brother pleaded guilty to. He was subsequently received a 42-year prison sentence. She's not going to get 42 years because of the jury being deadlocked on the R-word charge. She should be getting 42 years with her brother, but she's not because they found her guilty of the lesser charges. Misty Roberts in 2018 made history by becoming the first woman ever elected as mayor of DeRitter. She won a second four-year term in 2022. She had spoken publicly in May of 2024 to the Louisiana news outlet Best of SWLA about enduring a rough few years, in part because two hurricanes that affected her community, a divorce, and the death of someone close to her. We all go through tragic events, but we all don't hard R-word a 16-year-old. Misty, good grief. I've never been able to just be mayor, Roberts was quoted as saying, "Well, I mean, come on. Most people who hold public office aren't just mayors, governors, congressmen, senators, judges, policemen. They also have families. So we understand that you have other responsibilities, but you got to be able to distinguish the difference and do your job and still be a mother. Man, this stuff is crazy. Roberts also told the outlet she inspired to run for a third term in a mayoral primary election to be held in May. Yeah, right, from jail. She gonna run to be the tier rep. They might vote her in as tier rep of the jail. Man, them girls are gonna try to do this woman something, man. Y'all seen the pictures of her. They're gonna take advantage of her. Roberts also told the outlet that she aspired, DeRitter is home to about 10,000 people just east of Louisiana's border with Texas. I told y'all that already. So that's what's going on with this woman, man. Misty Roberts, man. What do y'all think, man? Share in the comments, man. Should this woman get the maximum sentence? I say yes, absolutely. But there's also a connection that I've been thinking. I was talking to my wife about this. Her and her brother both have sexual deviancy in their families. They both are now convicted of sexual crimes, Misty and her brother. Both of them were accused of the R word, even though she didn't actually get found guilty of the R word. She got the lesser charges, statutory and SA. He got the hard R word. She's going to prison. He's in prison. Did something happen to these kids when they were kids, or these adults when they were kids? Did Misty and her brother get abused when they were children? Often abuse that happens to people when they're children, they grow up to become abusers in some instances. You know what I mean? Because there was no resolution. They didn't deal with and confront what happened to them as children. And is it possible that they were victims when they were kids? Sure, it's possible. But if you were a victim, it doesn't give you a right to make somebody else a victim. And I stand on that. You got to seek professional help and you got to get help. But in my opinion, her brother deserves the 42-year prison sentence he got. And hopefully she gets the maximum sentence in her case. Time will tell, we'll see. But anyway, the next story, yes, right, we got another story with two more savages. This time, it's coming out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where there's all kinds of awesome restaurants. Until they get your food order wrong, then you got to do what you got to do. At least that's what these two fools did. Man, let's get right into the story. Coming straight from WBRZ2 ABC out of Baton Rouge. Police seek two accused of shooting Baton Rouge restaurant owner after receiving a wrong food order. Man, this fool done blasted somebody behind his food order. And you see all those all those prison clips, because everybody got a cell phone in prison nowadays because they living it up like they're at Taj Mahal. You know what I mean? And they all complaining, look, my food tray, your food is just so bad. This is wrong. But you're going to blast somebody, and this fool's going to get upstate and he's going to complain about the food. But he blasted somebody about the food. Man, he might shank somebody behind the food. This fool is a savage. Man, we really got to get into this story, y'all. Baton Rouge. Police are searching for a man who allegedly shot the owner of a Baton Rouge restaurant after receiving an incorrect order. Here's a picture of him, and here's a picture of her. They both did some savage activity, man. An arrest warrant for Dylan Wood says that he was with his girlfriend, Savannah Spears, when he ordered a to-go meal from LJK Roan 2 Cafe on February 2nd. After he paid and left with the food, Woods reportedly called the restaurant to say his meal was wrong. Listen, we all have been there. Every one of us has gotten home and the food that we ordered was not what we ordered, or they messed up on the menu. It happens. We make a phone call and hopefully we get a resolution and they give us our right meal. Yes, it's an inconvenience, but you can't do what he did when you get inconvenienced in life. A worker told police they hung up the phone because Woods was yelling and cursing while the employee was trying to help him. So apparently they were trying to give, Dalen a little resolution, but Dalen wasn't having it. We all been there on the phone with him, say, man, look, I know I ordered bacon on this burger, but it don't just knock out bacon, but y'all ain't put no tomatoes on here. Ain't got no onions on it. My wife ordered a burger one time when she was going to work in the military and she had to be there and she couldn't leave to go get food from Burger King. And she said all she wanted was the meat. Man, when she got to the restaurant, she just wanted meat. You know what I mean? She didn't want all extra stuff. She wasn't feeling that good, so she needed a little something on the stomach. She was going to get the meat. When she got to the restaurant, all they had was the meat, just a meat patty. In the Whopper box, a meat patty. She opened up, it was just a meat patty. She like, dang, they ain't put no bread on it or nothing. They just gave me the meat. I guess they got it right. Man, this stuff is crazy. I know, but Dalen, he took it to a whole new level. The warrant says Dalen, Woods, and Savannah Spears, came back to the cafe and became loud, confrontational, and began using profane and threatening language. Woods allegedly put a blaster, a heater, a pew-pew, because you can't say the word G-blank-N. Y'all, we're adults. Why can't we use words that mean what they are, but you could drop all kind of other words that are more vulgar than the meaning of this? I don't get it. So he had a blaster, right? You know, a blaster, Star Wars blaster. That's fine to say, I guess. On the counter, and he started arguing. He took his blaster out. Woods allegedly put it on the counter and continued to argue. The employee notified the restaurant's owner to call the police. The owner told all the staff to get into the walk-in freezer while she waited for authorities to arrive. That's a smart move, right? Go in the freezer, get out of the way, but it's cold in that freezer. I'm gonna tell y'all a prison story where a dude used to go sit in the prison freezer to meditate. They caught him in there almost frozen, stiff, moments away from death. But he barely lived because he was in there meditating too long in the freezer. Listen, they got stories in New Orleans where they put people in the freezer, boom, 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 unalive them in the freezer. You know, so the freezer's kind of like not really where I want to go. But this lady was thinking on her feet, and look, I'm gonna give her credit. At least she was brave enough and had enough decency in herself to say, you know what, I'm the owner of this restaurant. I'm gonna take it on. Y'all get it on to the back. That's something special, because nowadays people are like, you stay up here, I'm gonna go to the back. You get blasted. At least I can live. She took her workers seriously, man. They need to appreciate her. All right. The owner reportedly told Woods and Spears to leave repeatedly and grabbed her own blaster. That's right. He had a blaster laid up on the counter because, you know, he took it out and slammed it on the counter, and he's using it as a threatened measure. Like, you're going to get my order right. Like, this going to change everything. Like, I ain't going to go to jail, but you're going to put extra pickles on that burger. That's right. I want mayo on that burger. And you know what? See my old lady right here? Ask her what she wants. You know what? Give us a gift card while you at it, because I got the blaster right here. Ain't nothing going to happen to me. We live in a society where these savages think they can do what they want, and there will be no repercussions, no consequences, because usually, depending on where you live at in the United States of America, they hail people like this as a hero. But Dalen and Savannah, y'all are savages and belong in prison. Hopefully you get your life right. The owner reportedly told Spears to leave after she grabbed her own blaster. The warrant says Woods and the owner began bloom, 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 at one another, striking the woman in her abdomen. Woods allegedly walked out and bloom, bloom, just for good measures, he shot a couple more shots at the building. Who knows? His old lady was probably egging him on the whole time. Savannah, she's a savage too. Woods is wanted for attempted second-degree murder, illegal use of a weapon, and aggravated criminal damage to property. Spears is wanted. Savannah Spears, his girlfriend, this savage. Look at this savage. She don't get away with this. She better catch, you know, whatever maximum sentence is for accessory. That's what she needs to get. Spears is wanted as a principal to all these charges. If you see these two, I don't know if they arrested him yet, but as of when I first read this article earlier, they hadn't been caught. If you see these two savages, avoid them at all costs. Call the cops so they can be put in jail where they belong. Man, welcome to the Pen and The Shank, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube, where we don't let people like Dalen and Savannah get away with stuff. I'm an ex-convict, but I'm also a law-abiding citizen now. I pay my taxes, even though they treat me bad and don't want me to, you know, I got to put convicted of a felony on my job application. 21 years of being a contributing member to society, man. Can't I get a break? I'm putting these two savages out there because I want to protect society and the innocent people and kids and people who want to own a restaurant without having to worry about being blasted because they didn't put pickles on your sandwich. And you know what? I'm going to say something. Savannah better not get away with this, because usually people like Dylan, he's going to get the full brunt of the law. She needs to get the full brunt of the law too. You don't get out of this. You wanted to date a savage? Now take your savage consequences when you go in the store. You should have stayed, called the cops, reported them. You didn't do none of that. You went under with it. Man, I know. I'm sure more information will come in the story. Maybe I'm wrong on some of it. We'll see. I ain't. Who's always right all the time? People want to die on a hill over a news article. I could be wrong. If new information comes out, I'm wrong. Cool, man. Put it in the comments, whatever. Man, but for now, give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and The Shank. And that's the daily news coming out of Louisiana for Savages of Louisiana. On this episode of Savages of Louisiana, who knows, we'll make this thing again. I got all kinds of stuff, man. Let's get it.